Okay, so let's just finish our discussion of Rat Kiley. I got cut off there at the last recording. So we were talking about how his character sort of transforms over the course of the book as a whole, and in the last story where he features nightlife, he is shown to sort of have a mental breakdown and ends up shooting himself in the foot in order to be released from duty. And at his sort of mental breakdown coincides with him seeing everybody, including himself and all the other soldiers, as if they were just their body parts. So he has all these sort of visions, almost like kind of hallucinations. He's not sleeping because of these long nighttime treks that they have to do. So he has these kind of visions or hallucinations where everybody is just reduced to their body parts, their organs, and it's too much for him, right? So this is where he can no longer sort of compose himself, and it's almost like a moment of his disillusionment, right, and breakdown. And then he sees everybody, we're just one big banquet, you, me, everybody, meat, right? Meat for the bugs. So he's sort of suggesting, or in this comparison between himself and the other soldiers as meat, he's sort of saying in a way, or speaking about the dehumanization of the men in the war. So they're no longer human beings. They have become just meat, right? So not human, just a thing or object. So the war itself has sort of objectified the men and dehumanized them to the point that in Rat Kiley's mind, he sees everybody, everything, himself as just meat, right? Something to be consumed, just, an object that's dead already. So it kind of, you could see this as relating to Timothy Finley's The Wars, which we've read at this point, in the fact that this Rat Kiley sort of had that incident with the water buffalo where he shot the baby water buffalo, reducing it down to meat, essentially, or down to at least an object that he destroys. And then here he is shooting himself, putting himself in that same sort of position, and referring to himself and the other men as if they were animals, meat, objects, no longer sort of fully functioning humans. And it's one of the ironies of Rat Kiley's narrative is the fact that he shoots himself. And if you remember way back to the things they carried, the first story, they used to make fun of guys, of other soldiers who shot themselves in this way. So if you go all the way back to that very first story on page 21 of my book, you'll remember that quotation that we've mentioned before, but they said on page 21, they spoke bitterly about guys who had found release by shooting off their own toes or fingers. Pussies, they'd say, candy asses. It was fierce, mocking talk with only a trace of envy or awe, but even so the image played itself out behind their eyes. So Rat Kiley at the end of this book becomes the man that, or one of the soldiers who shoots himself in the foot in order to be removed from combat. So he essentially becomes the kind of man that they would have ridiculed at the start of the war, and it sort of shows the transformation of these men as they are sort of naive or innocent to begin with, and then over the course of their experience after witnessing sort of the senseless deaths of their friends, including Kurt Lemon, they become, bitter, jaded, and in Rat Kiley's case, mentally unstable, and are willing to do almost anything in order to remove themselves from this environment that is destructive and dehumanizing. So this is why he shoots himself in the foot. And this is, he's no longer naive or arrogant in the same way that he was when he saw this act as being, something only a wuss would do, or somebody who was wimpy or not manly enough. So his vision of masculinity, I think, has definitely sort of grown and matured. He's no longer kind of arrogant or viewing, it's not a measure of his toughness anymore. It's just a measure of his mental survival in order to endure this experience. Okay, so some interesting transformations in Rat Kiley's character. That's all I have to say for his character. So in the next video, we'll move on to Norman Boker.